Black Chelsea fans were attacked last week during a Champions League match against host Dynamo of Kiev. Now, European soccer's governing body has opened a disciplinary case, and as you know, Jose, FIFA takes acts of racism extremely serious. If a player or a whole team or an entire stadium engages in any racist behavior, they might get suspended for a game. They might not, but they also might. They might get suspended, and something bad might happen to you if you're racist in the eyes of FIFA. Right. So at least 2 of the victims here were hospitalized. They made their way out of the stadium, luckily. Here's the video. We have it for you. This is the video that's being given to UEFA investigators, and it's hard to see really what's happening because there's so many darn people, and it is a soccer stadium, and crazy shit's going down. But you can clearly see a large amount of people beating up on just a small few, and those small few ended up running out. You guys can check out the video for yourselves if you want to see the entire thing. They end up escaping somewhat unharmed. Now, unfortunately, this isn't all that surprising because we see racism all the time, especially in European soccer. Now, what is surprising, on the other hand, is how bad it actually is. Now, Vladimir Spilchenko, the director of this stadium, came out, and when he was asked what they should do about these kinds of problems to make sure it doesn't happen again, his response was segregation. He says, we're trying maybe to make a separate sector, and he's referring to black fans. What do you think? 2015 segregation. I'm speechless. I don't even know what to say.
It's bullshit. I think it's just a gaffe. I hope it was a gaffe and he didn't mean to, and he got nervous and he said the most stupid thing that I've heard. But to your point, there is a systemic problem in European leagues and in European stadiums about racism. In Italy, they shout monkey sounds to black players. They throw bananas in the corner kicks. In Spain, it happens. In France, it happens. Many countries have this problem. We've seen Chelsea supporters going to a different country and preventing black people from boarding a train. The Chelsea supporters
PSG,
when
right?
they play in Paris. So we do see that it's a... in England, the hooligans, there is this culture in the fandom of soccer of racism, and there's a lot of white supremacism tied to these supporter groups. And like you said, FIFA, many times they just wash their hands because they're very busy trying to make a couple of millions being corrupt here, a couple of millions being corrupt there, and let the guys just be racist in the stadiums.
What he's saying, though, this guy specifically, we can go on and on and on about Sepp Blatter and FIFA as a whole. But for this story, I really want to focus on this guy, Vladimir. Yeah. Now, his suggestion, right, that they make a separate sector to avoid racism, in my opinion, in a place like Kiev, where there's probably, 15 black people that are going to go to this game, how would putting them in a separate sector where they're more vulnerable help the problem? Everyone would know exactly where these few black players are and allow them to be targeted even easier, right?
I think it shows how ingrained the racism is in this culture and how ingrained in this society the feeling of hurting those who are different is present. Especially, you have to understand, people go to the stadium, they live in a situation where they're stressed, they go out, let loose, and a lot of people feel that because of the mob rule, because I'm part of this huge mob that makes me anonymous, I can push the boundaries and I can express some things that I wouldn't. Now, going back to the question, do we need to segregate and put all black fans on a section so the white racist guys can throw things specifically at one place and get them all? I think it's stupid. I think it's something that needs to be punished by FIFA and hopefully by the owners of the team, and say, you know what, you can't say that shit.
Right. Well, Dynamo has been punished in the past. This is not the first time something like this has happened. But I feel the sentiment that in Kiev, the far right wing that are tied to these neo-Nazi parties, they're oftentimes allowed to flourish, and a lot of people in Ukraine and politicians too kind of turn a blind eye to it.
Exactly.
And we see these kinds of things, and while it's sad, it seems to be happening all across Europe. The U.S. isn't the only ones with their crazy right wing that are borderline racist.
And the xenophobic sentiments are growing with the migrant crisis. We'll see more and more that people that are really into tapping into the nationalistic feeling, they're going to have these attitudes, and it's sad to see the game stained by this.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, we want to know what you guys have to say in the comments about this Olympic Stadium director, Vladimir Spilchenko, coming out and suggesting segregation in his own stadium. Let us know in the comments below, and if you haven't already, subscribe to Lip TV for more.